lifted up by the Magnolia community. The family and friends of Angie Diaz are gathering today for a vigil to remember the 21-year-old. She was found dead Wednesday night. The Waller County Sheriff's Office says she was brutally murdered by her husband. KPRC2's Bill Barajas speaking with Diaz's family tonight, and he has more now.
Yeah, and they are not doing so well. They tell me it's been hard to eat or sleep over the past few days. The turnout tonight at the vigil did help a bit, though. Over 100 people showed up, many with stories about Angie Diaz and her big, bright, beautiful smile. The family telling me that the community support has been unexpected, but something they are thankful for.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Devastated by tragedy, but lifted up through prayer.
Palabra de Dios.
Hundreds came out to pay tribute and remember 21-year-old Angie Diaz. Her Aunt Edie's describing her as a bright, beautiful light, while at the same time trying to make sense of her death.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abab ball. All right, so you can see that this female, all right, just caught judgment, and her husband put her to death. All right, they're spirits of vengeance. All right, and they're doing what the Lord created them to do. This is Ecclesiasticus 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. And literally, her husband cut her head off. Okay? And you seen how she was dressed in the picture. She was probably a loose woman. All right? And she caught judgment. Another point I wanted to make was how she died by the hand of a so-called white man. But in
the same time,
in her death, you see they're worshiping the so-called white man. They're praying to so-called white Jesus, which is a false name and a false image. The true Messiah is described as a so-called black man. All right? Revelation 1. The revelation, which means the revealing of Yahushua HaMashiach, which when you go into the interlinear, all right, it says Jesus Christ, which Christ is a title, and Jesus, it says Jesus, right? Well, when you go into the Jesus, it goes to of Hebrew origin, which they give you really Yahushai, but they add a letter. They add that letter there. The letter I have highlighted is an added letter. But without that letter that's highlighted, you have Yahawashai. Yahawashai. All right? It says the revelation of Yahushai HaMashiach, which he's the Messiah. That's what the Mashiach. All right? The Father's name is Yahweh. Yahushai was sent to save the Israelites, starting with his sacrifice, and then he'll return to pick us up, which Yahweh gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, which we have prophecy. And it's prophesied that majority of our people are going to be put to death because they're rebellious and disobedient. It says, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bare record of the word of Yahweh and of the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, which is the spirit of prophecy, and of all things that he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. And this shows you that the Israelites, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, they don't fucking read. Because if they read the Bible, it would clearly tell you that Christianity, or being a Catholic, is not in the Bible. All right? It says, verse, let me get down to the point. Verse 12, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and a girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. So the texture is woolly, and the color is white. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So he has a loud, deep voice, which a so-called white man does not hold. All right? And what I just read fits the image that you see on the screen. All right? It has the scriptures next to it, Revelation 1, chapter 1, 13 to 15. It says Daniel 10, 5 to 6. The real image of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, according to the Bible, as it is written. And worshiping a false god, all right, calling upon a false name is worthy of death, all right? And you can see these people were Roman Catholic, all right, which they worship the so-called white man's image. They call upon a false name. So she deserved to be put to death, including, look how she's dressed. You know this woman was a loose woman. Because a man doesn't just want to cut his wife's head off. She had to do something to trigger him, to trigger that spirit of vengeance. And as you can see, look how she's dressed. She's sitting like in a throne. And they're like worshiping her image. See? And they're acting like it's such a horrible thing that happened. But the Lord, He has these spirits of vengeance created for these women. Because majority of the 2/3 that are going to perish are women and children. Okay? Because the men of the hopeful elect are sighing and crying, and they're rebelling against the men. All right? Which this woman had a husband, and who put her to death? It was her husband. And I could bet my last dollar it was because of adultery. He probably caught her on the phone with another man. She was, who knows? The Lord knows, and the Lord had it happen this way for a purpose, and we have to have understanding. And the understanding is that this is a judgment from the Lord, and it's only going to increase. It's only going to increase for the women and children to be put to death, including the men, all right? Because there's 2/3 of the nation of Israel that are in America that are going to be put to death, all right? Because they're rebellious and disobedient to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. They chose the world over Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. So they're going to be destroyed with this world. All right, there's going to be a new world, same earth, but a refreshened earth, all right, after the destruction, which is a nuclear destruction. All right? And it tells you after the MOTB is mandated for buying and selling, great judgment is coming upon this earth. It says in Revelation 18, it says, let me get up here. In verse 8, it says, therefore shall her, being America, because America is represented by a whore, because that's what it produces, is whores. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, who judgeth her. Now let me jump down to verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. And this is really why we know it's America, because #1 consumer country in the world is America. All these people that own ships got rich by bringing goods to America. America doesn't produce nothing. It doesn't manufacture nothing. All right? So in 1 hour, this nation is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles and chariot fire. That's why they recently just said there's been 500 reports of so-called UFOs. That's another judgment, another plague coming upon this world. So-called UFOs that are going to shoot fire down upon this place. And it tells you in the first 5 books, when the judgment was going forward, all right, I believe it's in Numbers, that the Lord used the chariot to cut Israelites in half because of their disobedience and their rebelliousness. See, because when they came out of Egypt, they wanted to keep worshiping the gods of Egypt. Just like right now, you see these people, judgment going forth, you have the prophets, and they still want to worship Caesar Borgia, the so-called white Jesus, when it's, 2023, the year that we hope the Lord fulfills all the prophecies and we get to go home. See? So we can't go home till these 2/3 are put to death, though. So we have to watch, we have to witness 2/3 of the Israelites, whether they know they're Israelite or not, they're going to die here. And we're going to be protected and delivered. It says in verse 20, rejoice over her. And that's what we do. When we see judgment go forth, we don't cry about it. We rejoice over it. It actually makes you feel good to see these wicked women, these wicked men being put to death because, knowing the truth, they're no good. And this is what is good. Judgment is good. It says, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh hath avenged you on her. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh hath avenged you on her. And this is talking when we're gathered with Yahweh Shai. We're going to literally sit and watch America burn, and we're going to rejoice. And it tells you 2/3 of our own people are going to be in there, and rightfully so, because they're disrespectful, disobedient. It says in Zechariah 13, verse 8, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd shall be left therein. And those 3rd are going to be cleaved to the elect. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. See, then he don't hear the name Jesus. That's not his name. All right? He don't care about anybody calling on that name. The true name is Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai. Those names have salvation. Jesus Christ don't save nothing. All right? In fact, it condemns you to say it. It says, they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. You see? But you got Jake still worshiping so-called white Jesus in 2023, the year that we hope the Lord fulfills all these prophecies. So these Jake got to die. That's why Jacob's trouble. It says right here. It says in verse 2 of Zechariah 14, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. You see that? That's a judgment on the women, which they're going to have, horrible situations that they have to live through in Jacob's trouble, which eventually they will die. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, which they got the FEMA camps, and the residue of the people, which is the remnant, shall not be cut off from the city. So the Lord's going to raise the standard for a remnant of Israel that call upon him and his son. The rest of them that are in disobedience, even if they're calling on his name, he's going to let them perish. Matthew 7, 21 on down. Even though they're calling on his name, there's wise virgins and there's foolish virgins. All right? It says in verse 3, then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. Which it tells you that we're going to rejoice because he's going to mount these fools. It says in Zechariah 14, verse 12, and this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right, nuclear destruction. And even Israelites that are rebellious and disobedient, not of the elect, not of the 1/3, they're going to be destroyed. All right, because we're to be praising Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai in our words, in our thoughts, and in our actions. It says in Revelation 7, verse 4, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the sons of Israel. But this is the elect men, the hopeful elect, and their prophets. It says in Revelation 14, verse 4, these are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yahweh and to the Lamb. All right? So those elect men are on a whole nother level. All right? But then you got the rest of the Israelites that are going to be gathered unto us, Isaiah 4:1 and Isaiah 14:1. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, which they're Israelites that have been scattered throughout all nations, and kindreds, of all the tribes, and people, and tongues, which they speak different languages, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Palms means they got victory. They were saved. And cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our power Yahweh, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb, Yahushai. So they're going to be worshiping Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. They ain't going to be calling on Jesus. Anyone that's calling on Jesus that's an Israelite, they're going to die. Because there is no salvation in that name. All right? And that's why this woman probably cleaved to a man that looked like so-called white Jesus. Because she thought he loved, that she won. But really, this is a sin to look like a so-called white man. You got Israelites that even look like so-called white people. All right? But it's a sin. It tells you in Numbers 12. So Miriam, Moses' sister, and Aaron were cursing out Moses for marrying an Ethiopian woman. And the Lord came down, it says right here in verse 5, Numbers 12, verse 5, and Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud out of the chariot, the so-called UFO, and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam. And they both came forth, and he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? See, so you have Israelites that talk shit against the prophets, even amongst their own family. And the Lord's going to punish them. It says, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. So to look like a so-called white man, like this man here, if he's an Edomite, he's a cursed man anyway, because they're cursed to damnation, the whole entire race. All right, the Lord hates them. But then if he is an Israelite that looks like a so-called white man, that's a curse. All right, to be looking like a leopard. It says, and Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, Lay not the sin upon us wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. See? So it's a sin to look like a so-called white man. That's why the Lord and Savior of Israel could not have come and been perfect looking like a so-called white man. All right? He was a dark-skinned brown man, an Hebrew Israelite. And his name is Yahushai, and his father Yahweh sent him to save the remnant of Israel. All right? But with that, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Ha-Rakah Kodash, double honors to our apostles and elders which rule Great Millstone well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba babal.